old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a spider. It wriggled and wiggled and tiggled inside her. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Or she swallowed the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a bird. How absurd. She swallowed a bird? She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a cat. Fancy that. She swallowed a cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a dog. What a hog. To swallow a dog? She swallowed the dog to catch the cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a cow. I don't even know how she swallowed a cow. She swallowed the cow to catch the dog. She swallowed the dog to catch the cat. She swallowed the cat to catch the bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. There was an old lady who swallowed a horse. She's dead, of course. What have you been swallowing? Because I think there's sometimes we swallow things and we don't realize that we do, and maybe not literally, but we just take in the things that are surrounding us. And a lot like this old lady who at the end of this horrid story dies. Yeah. And you guys all laughed and clapped. Shame on y'all. But we make a mistake and we do something, or something happens to us. It may not even be because of us, and something happens to us. And then we try to fix it on our own. Swallowed a fly. So, okay, now am I going to fix that? I swallow a spider. How do I fix that? I swallow a bird. And then all of a sudden you get so far and so deep into it on something that, yeah, you may not have caused it, but now you have caused this chain reaction to happen. And instead of giving it to God, you've taken control, and you just continue to swallow and anything that you think would fix it. We do it with relationships. We do it with jobs. We do it with churches. Trying to fix that, whatever it is that we feel needs fixing inside of us. So in doing that, I came up with this message and trying to figure out the title, and my wife actually helped me with it. Title is Camel Steaks and Gnat Fries. I knew I was going to mess that up. Camel Steak and Gnat Fries. All right. Next potluck on Easter. You can turn to Matthew chapter 23. Verse 23. We're going to throw it up here on the Sky Bible. Soon we're going to have like 3 Sky Bibles. And this one, you guys notice how like more clear the TVs are than this? And once we get this done, it's going to be like that. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that. So Matthew 23 and 24. It says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give 1/10 of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, faithfulness. You should have participated in the latter without neglecting the former." Anybody else, when someone says, like, they talk about the latter and the former, you're like, which one is the one that you mentioned first? Yeah. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat, but you swallow a camel. Now, I will say this, that, right, this is Jesus talking, and he's talking to the Sadducees and Pharisees. He's talking to the religious leaders, and he was not worried. He wasn't like saying, hey, guys, I see you barbecuing some camels out there. That needs to stop. That's not what's happening here, okay? And I feel like for you guys to totally get this, I need to kind of give you guys, lay out some groundwork, let you know what's going on. Because right here in Matthew 23, Jesus is laying a verbal smackdown on some Sadducees and Pharisees jabronis here. He is like giving it to them left and right, verbally, not like physically, verbally. And he is like, they do not know what to do. In fact, it actually says that they were so lost, they didn't have any comeback, that they just like stopped asking questions. So with the Pharisees and Sadducees, I think it's easy for us to kind of just look at the Pharisees, look at the Sadducees, not really pay attention to who they are, and we just kind of think of them as like the bad guys in the New Testament. And that's fair. They do some pretty terrible stuff, okay? They do some pretty messed up stuff. So I don't be hard on yourself to look at them as like the bad guys. But it was not always like that. That was not how it started off. How did it start off? I've looked it up. I researched it. The Sadducees and Pharisees, they are the same people that God led out of Egypt into the Promised Land. They're Israelites, okay? Now, the Sadducees started first, and the Pharisees actually came out of the Sadducees, but they started because they looked at all the messed up stuff going on. Because if you read Judges, you'll see where the nation of Israel, they went through this cycle where one minute they're like, yeah, we're God's chosen people, it's awesome, oh, we love you, God. We love you, Yahweh. And then they would get comfortable, and they'd just kind of start doing, whoo, look at those Canaanite women. Whoo, yeah, nice. Well, man, what's that Canaanite man's name? Hey, I see you. And they get comfortable. They fall into, well, cultures that God's warned them about. They start worshiping their idols. They start worshiping Baal. They start doing all this. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're back into captivity. And they're like, oh my gosh, God, we'll never do it again. Save us. He saves them, and then they start praising him, worshiping, and do that for a while. And then all of a sudden, they get comfortable, and they just start following this. And it's this huge cycle all through Judges. Which Judges is a prophetic book. Why? Because it's prophetic is a prophetic story of us and our lives, because we go through those same cycles. So here's the Sadducees, here's the Pharisees. They're like, dude, all these people, nobody's following the law. They're not doing what we're supposed to do. So they said, we are. They started a movement. That's what it was. It was a movement. And it started off saying, it's a movement, and we are going to show people what God is like. And we're going to do that. We're going to do it by following the laws. We're not going to be worshiping Baal. We're not going to be doing all the messed up stuff. We are going to be set apart. Now, the Sadducees, they believe in God, but they were like, okay, we know that God used miracles and stuff to like get us out of Egypt and along that way. But now that we're here in the Promised Land, the miracles have stopped. There's no raising the dead. There's no manna falling from heaven. I mean, he did that before, but the miracles cease now. Then the Pharisees were like, they were a group of it, and they split off of it, and they were like, no, you're wrong. So they were like the charismatic movement here going on, the Pharisees. They're like, we believe in miracles. We believe that God can raise the dead. We believe all that stuff. They were like, if it was today, they would be like the shouting and run around with their hands raised and all that stuff. That's how it would be. So it started off, though, both movements started off in a way that in a positive way. They didn't start off bad guys. They weren't like, oh, yeah, we're going to really mess some people up. Yeah. No, let's be mean to some people. No, that's not what happened. It was a movement. It was a God movement. But now what has happened is somewhere along the line, their purpose and the reason they started doing this in the first place was lost. And it has become all about them. The Bible says that it became about their position. Everybody look at me. I'm set apart. I'm following the law. I'm clean. I don't do all those unclean things. You know how you know? Because I'm wearing this nice robe with these tassels coming off of it. I got this box on my head, all right? And it's looking good. Yeah, it's Ralph Lauren. That's right. And they have now, instead of showing people how God is, they're almost thinking like, well, yeah, we're God. Like, it's all about us. And manipulation comes in. That's how the enemy works. Is things start off being good. Things start off the right way, but then we get lost in it. We forget it's about a relationship, and then it becomes about do's and don'ts and what I've done and what you haven't done. And, well, I'm better than you. My family's better than your family. I know you have 3 kids. I got 3 kids. Where's your 3 kids today? My 3 kids are in church. Your kids are still sleeping. I am a better dad. And you start getting that mindset. Well, if you would have just followed my example, we'd do a devotional. We do a devotional on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and sometimes on Saturday, if it's not boat day. And you start thinking, well, you just follow my way. And you start thinking we're better than everybody else. So what are you swallowing? Is it camel steaks? Gnat fries? So here comes Jesus on the scene. All right. Now, we kind of think of this like the Pharisees, the Sadducees. Jesus comes along and they're just like, oh, we hate that guy. It didn't quite happen like that. You see, the Pharisees, Sadducees, they are Israelites, and they read the Torah, they've read the prophets, they believed the prophets, they knew the Messiah was coming. They're waiting for the Messiah to come and save them, and he just came in a different way than they thought. They thought he was going to come in riding this white horse. He was going to come in, overthrow the Roman government, set them free, and woo, we're going to party. That's what they thought. Instead, he came as a baby. He worked as a carpenter with his dad, and then when he started speaking in the synagogues, they were like, who do you think you are? You're Jesus. You built my birdhouse. Yeah. You fixed my mailbox. And now you're going to tell me you're the Messiah? They're like, the Messiah's going to come in on a horse. He's going to come in, guns a-blazing. The baby in a manger. But then something pretty cool happened. Well, Jesus started performing some miracles. Now, I don't care how much you don't like somebody or how much you think, oh, man, I don't know, I don't want them coming here. Someone walks in and just starts performing miracles. It's like, oh, my gosh, we have no ice. You need some ice? Here's some ice. You forgot the sweet tea? Here's some sweet tea. Well, you start coming in and blind eyes are opening. You're going to be like, whoa. So that's what happened. So the buzz around this Jesus dude is like, oh, hold on, maybe there's something to him. Maybe there's something to this. Let's at least get to know him, okay? Let's make sure. Let's kind of take him under our wing and make sure, he knows like all the religious sayings. He needs to do he needs to know all the church language, Praise be to him. That's what you say. Like all this. So they thought that's how it was going to be. Like Jesus he's going to be like one of the boys. Now, I just recently joined a boat club. No, I know you may have seen it on Facebook. We do not own a boat. We joined a boat club. It's pretty cool because they have boats. We don't own them, but we can take them out. Now, here's the crazy thing. Julie and I talk about this all the time. I have never driven a boat ever. Like I've been on like 2 boats, okay? I go to 2 training things, and they're like, here's the keys. And we're like, well, they'll give anybody a boat. And we're just like riding along. Now, there's some boat etiquette that goes on that I'm picking up. I'm learning. We've been out 4 times. I'm picking this up. When you are going down the waterway and another boat is coming this way, there is this gesture you make, and it looks like this. It means your boat buddies. Yeah. Like, yeah. You're driving a boat. I'm driving a boat. I see you there, buddy. Yeah, we're boys. May not ever meet. I don't know his name, but we're boys. Now, there's an exception to that because there are these rules on the water that I do not know. But I do know when I am not following them. Because when I'm not following them, and I'm going this way, and a boat is coming this way, and I'm like, hey, boy, what's up? They don't do it back. They do this number. And I'm like, okay. So that's kind of how it was with the Pharisees. They're like, yeah, Jesus is going to be one of our boys. He's going to hang out with us. They're like, I see you, Jesus. And Jesus is like, hey, man, no. What? Why are you hanging out with those 12 dudes and you're not hanging out with us? Like, don't you know like, we're the important people, Jesus? And Jesus is like, I don't think so. So that's already kind of messed with them. Like, that's kind of messed them up a little bit. All right, their ego's been damaged some. So they're like, we're going to start questioning Jesus. We're going to catch him on something. So the Pharisees and Sadducees, they don't really like hang out. They don't really like each other, but they're going to like tag team this because we need to stop this Jesus movement because people are starting to follow him. And obviously he's not one of the boys. So we're going to ask him these questions. And he's not going to know them. And we are going to expose him as the fraud that he is. So they start asking him the questions. And it is like, they are like just throwing these change-ups to him. And he's like knocking them out of the park. It's like setting them up. To the point where they don't even have any comeback. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but it's happened to me. You ever been with like hanging out with somebody, and you kind of like, you're joking, but then it kind of gets a little serious, you know? And they say it's like something that like kind of puts you down. Everybody's like, woo, like that. And you like don't have any comeback. And you're just like, well, yeah, you too. And you're like, why can't I think of anything? And then, that night, you're laying in your bed, and you're like, oh my gosh, that would have been the perfect comeback. Why didn't I think of, they wouldn't have had anything to say with that. Why didn't they think of, next time they say it, I'm going to give them that comeback. It's kind of how it was, like with the Sadducees and Pharisees. Like, they didn't have any comeback. They're like, I don't have anything to say. In fact, the Bible says they stopped asking questions. They were like, okay, we ain't going to ask him any questions. He's making us look foolish. All right? But Jesus, he's talking, he has these people following him around, and Matthew's telling this story. And Jesus is talking to them, and what he says and what he is saying is actually is like a crushing blow to the Pharisees' belief system. Because people come to them for answers. And now Jesus has just put them in their place. They have no comeback, and it's like a crushing blow to them and what they believe. Because if you are any Torah-observing good Pharisee is going to know, well, we live in Israel. We're God's chosen people. We're special. We're favored. Abraham is our father. We're his sons and daughters. We're supposed to show the world what God is like. We're his chosen people. But here's the thing. History tells us it didn't quite work out that way. Because here's God's chosen people, and they have been conquered by the Assyrians. They've been conquered by the Babylonians. They've been conquered by the Persians. And here, right here in this text, they are now under the Roman government. And there are Roman guards walking around. They don't believe in their gods. They could really kind of care less what they're doing. They're just kind of putting them in their place. They're thinking, these silly Jewish people. And they're like, why is this happening to us? And they just like any human being, they're like, oh, I know why. I figured it out. Yep, I know exactly why this is happening. So there's prostitutes. Yep. So there's liars over there. The thieves. Yeah, that's why we're in this. They keep messing up. They keep doing all this stuff. They're not following the law. Now we're in the place that we are because of them. And they are... And here comes Jesus, and they're like, they are setting themselves apart from that. And here comes Jesus, and He says, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin. Now, why are they doing that? Why are they giving a tenth of their spices? Well, I'm going to show you here. Deuteronomy 14, 22, and 23. Now, I got this from the Lloyd family cupboard. I don't know, do we even have a cupboard? If we do, that's where this was for sure. So, here we go. We got some mint, we got some dill, and we got some cumin. All right? I really have no idea what cumin is. So they're tithing tenth, okay? Here's Deuteronomy 14, 22, and 23. It says, be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce each year. Eat the tithe of your grain, new wine, and olive oil, and the firstborn of your herbs, and of your herds, and flocks in the presence of the Lord your God, at the place he will choose as a dwelling for his name, so that you may learn and revere the Lord your God always. So he's saying you're supposed to take a tenth and you're supposed to give it to God. Here in the Old Testament, God is teaching his people. He's teaching his chosen people how to be human. That's why these laws are. Like we look at them like it's very barbaric, like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. No, the reason he's doing that, he's teaching them how to be human. So it's like, hey, if you come and kill my donkey, that means I get your donkey. So what he's setting up is, well, so that not one person goes on this donkey killing spree. So he's setting this up, teaching them how to be human. And now, here's my question, though. Here, they are giving a tenth of mint, dill, and cumin, spices. In Deuteronomy, does it say anything about a tenth of their spices? No? Okay, one person paying attention. The rest of y'all are asleep. No! But here, the Pharisees are so particular on making sure that they are clean and making sure they follow the law, at least what appears to be, any of the laws that people can see, that they, all the way down to tithing their spices. And this is how, okay, here's some mint. All right, one for God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for me. All right, dill. One for God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for me. All right, cumin. One for God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for me. And they would do it to the exact measurement of it. They were so big on doing that. And here's Jesus saying, yeah, you do that. That's fine. Do that. But you have neglected the more important matters. These are Jesus' words, not mine. And what are they? What are the more important matters? Justice, mercy, faithfulness. Now, I believe at this point the Pharisees would have sucked wind because in their mind, they are already doing this. Justice? What's justice? Can we look at what justice is? All right, it's the definition of justice. A concept of moral righteousness-based ethics, rationality, law, natural law, religion, equity, and fairness, as well as administration of the law, taking into account the inalienable and inborn rights of all human beings and citizens, the right of all people and individuals to equal protection before the law. So here's the thing about justice. There's perspective when it comes to that. So here's the Pharisees. They're like, yeah, we've been doing this justice. I mean, we're setting apart. Like, they're the reasons we're in this mess. They're the reason. They're why our country's oppressed. They're why our country's in the shape that we're in. They're why this is happening. So we have set apart from them. They are the unclean, we are the clean. It's because of that's justice. We're taking care of our people that do right justice. We don't want anything to do with them. So in their mind, from their perspective, they are doing that. And they're probably thinking, this Jesus dude don't even appreciate all the stuff we're doing. Does he not see my drive? Does he not see my passion? I'm like giving 10% of my spices. That's good stuff. And he's just like throwing me under the bus. More important matters? What's justice? Here's. I love this. I saw this definition. It's not the official definition, but I saw someone when I was looking this up. It says, this is what justice is. It is, as a human being, what you feel you are entitled to. And then you take that, what you feel you are entitled to, and then you say, well, okay, those people around us, they're entitled to that. And then when that, what you feel like you're entitled to isn't happening, like justice. So in that, I went through this little rabbit hole, okay, looking at stuff. And I have no idea how I got onto this, but I was blown away. I mean, other than God, because I don't normally look at these kind of statistics. But I was shocked to see this. I shared it with Julie, like, woke her up. I was like, she's like, leave me alone. I was like, okay, you don't love Jesus. And 784 million people in this world do not have clean drinking water. Now, to give you kind of perspective of that, that is 2 times the population of the United States. Do not have clean drinking water at all. They don't have access to clean drinking water. They have to drink dirty water. That's what they have to do. Now check this out. 1.7 billion people in this world do not have access to an actual toilet. It's nuts, right? I don't care who you are. I mean, you can go into Applebee's and use their bathroom, right? I mean, it's pretty nasty in there, so I know you guys have been using it. They don't ever clean. 1.7 billion people. Now, this is the one that really got me. And I had to stop for a second. It said every 2 minutes, a child under the age of 5 dies due to a water-related disease because of unclean water. Every 2 minutes, a child under 5 dies because they don't have clean water. And we kind of like just live in this little bubble. You know, everybody has water. We got bottled water. I got water. Maybe this is water. And here we got bottles. We got a water cooler. I mean, drink out of the water hose if we have to. They'd love to drink out of the water hose. They don't have water. So sometimes justice is like a perspective, and I think Jesus is kind of laying this down because in their mind they are doing this justice. Next, he goes to mercy. Now, what's mercy? I think we got that definition of mercy, or an act of mercy. It's a kindness or help given to an unfortunate person, an act of mercy. And Jesus takes it a little farther. In Matthew 6, verse 1 and 2, it says this. He says, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others and to be seen by them. If you do, you'll have no reward from your heavenly Father. So this is what happens a lot of times. We see somebody in need. All right. Oh, man, Denise needs some water. I'm going to go get some water. Here, Denise, you can have this water. Hey, Chantel, see me giving Denise water? Yeah, it's my personal water. I'm giving it to her. No, I don't even have any. It's like, what? And then we make excuses of why we just made that announcement. Well, I mean, I'm the pastor of the church. I'm a leader. Like you people, I got to set an example. How am I going to set an example if you guys don't see what I'm doing? So I need to announce what I'm doing. Hey, guys, giving in the offering. Just want to let you know. And we start justifying these things, and it's like we're sounding these trumpets. It's offering time. Everybody watch me giving the offering. Just so you can, I'm just setting an example. And we do that, but it don't say, like, this is for everybody except for the pastors. This is for everybody except for the leaders. This is for everybody except for the teacher. It don't say that. It says don't announce it with trumpet. Don't announce it so everybody can see. Now, faithfulness. This is probably where some of them we're about to get up and leave. Faithfulness? Like we are tithing on our spices and you're saying we're not being faithful? But see, why they weren't being faithful is they failed. They failed to show others what God is like. And it became all about them. But it didn't start off that way. Somewhere in the process, something was lost. What do I think he's saying? I think he's saying this. How you spend your money matters. What you watch on TV, yeah, it matters. Those websites you're going to, matters. The language you're using, yeah, it matters. Who you're sleeping with, yeah, it matters. Those lies you're telling, yeah, it matters. The stealing, yeah, it matters. It all matters. But that's good that you're doing all the right things in those areas, but what matters the most important matters. This is Jesus' words, not Pastor Jimmy's. This verse is you're failing to do that. He says you should be doing both. Both of those things. And then verse 24 says, you strain out a gnat, but swallow a camel. Everybody at this time, take your little camel and swallow it. Just kidding. Do not do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, here, I think we lose a little bit of how impactful this would be. Okay? Because Jesus spoke Aramaic. And in Aramaic, this was kind of like a little pun. I don't know if anybody else has ever picked up on, like, Jesus had this kind of like sarcastic humor. I relate to that very well. There's very few things that I can relate to Jesus about, but like sarcastic, yeah, I got that. It's my gifting. And in Aramaic, which he'd be talking in Aramaic, the word for gnat is kamla. And the word for camel is gamla. So how he would have been saying this is, you strain out a kamla, but you swallow a gamla. And I believe, like, at that time, the disciples would have been like, they don't want to, like, really laugh. Like, oh, you just been dissed by Jesus. But they're like, Jesus maybe have a little smirk on his face. The Pharisees, Sadducees suck wind. And they're like, what are you talking about? Well, they knew exactly what he was talking about. Now, if we go to, this is in Matthew 23. If we go to Luke chapter 11, we see this parallel story. What's a parallel story? That's where it's like both in the Synoptic Gospels, the story being told more than one way or more than one viewpoint. Now, here in Luke 11, he is telling the story, and it is in a meal setting. They're sitting down at a table eating. Now, when Matthew's telling this, we kind of think that it's in the temple, but he don't really say exactly where they are. When Luke is telling the story, they are in a meal setting. And I think that's perfect for this. And sometimes people look at this and they're like, oh, see, the gospel, they don't add up. The Bible don't add up. They contradict each other. No, if the stories were exactly the same, then that's where it would be messed up. Because if both of us see something, something's going on, your perspective is going to be different than mine. You ever had that, like, where you are like, you remember I told you we were standing right there in the sanctuary when I told you this, and then the other person's like, no, we were actually in the social hall when you told me that. No, we were in the sanctuary. No, we were in the social hall. So here's Matthew. He is there. He is like experiencing this firsthand, and you're like, okay, well, let's go with his story. But now here's Luke. He was not there at the time. Luke has been converted, but he's one of those that hung out with Paul. He traveled with Paul. But Luke went around to different people, and he got these stories from different people. So he's like, he speaks to Matthew. He'll talk to Mark. He talks to Peter. Talks to Bartholomew, and he's like, okay, this is, and he puts these stories together. So Luke is telling this story in a meal setting. They're sitting down. They're eating. A Pharisee has invited them to hang out at their house, which is a big deal. They're eating with them. Then they come. The Pharisee notices. It's like, hey, Jesus, I don't want to embarrass you, but I noticed you didn't wash your hands. And listen, we know it's gross not to wash your hands, but the washing the hands, it wasn't just to clean their hands. It wasn't like, put on the soap and you have your birthday twice. That's not what was going on. This was like this ritual that you had to do, just to show that you were good enough. And Jesus is like, nah, I don't need to do that. They're like, what are you talking about? You don't need to do that. Now, this is what's going on here when he's talking about this. Straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. So the Pharisees at that time, they had this complicated system, okay? When they would drink their wine. By the way, this is water. This is water, not tequila, Tom. Absolutely. This is water, not vodka, and I do not have more in my desk, Connor. No, it's really water. Don't be trying to take a sip of this, Miss Ann. So they would have, now, they'd have their wine, and they would have these filtration little filter things, and they would put them on their cup. So, and they didn't have air conditioning. It was all open area their houses were. So you had these bugs flying around, all right? They put this on here because they don't want a gnat to get into their wine or to get into their drink. Why? I think it's obvious. One of the reasons, it's gross, right? From the first book of Duh. Like, nobody wants to drink gnats, all right? So what they would do, they would sit there, they would drink. The filter was there. They'd take it, they would drink, put the filter right back on because they didn't want to swallow a gnat. Now, there's more to it than it's just gross, though. All right, let's look at Leviticus 11:20 through 23. It says, all flying insects that walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. There are, however, some flying insects that walk on all fours that you may eat. No, thank you. Those that have jointed legs for hopping on the ground, of these you may eat any kind of locust. Katydid. How many knows what a katydid is? I had zero idea. Like, I was almost like going, I'm just going to do a different version that don't say katydid, it says something else. But I said, all right, I'm going to look it up. They're like those bugs that look like leaves. It's katydid. If you ever see one, you can eat it. Who knew? Crickets or grasshoppers. But all other flying insects that have 4 legs are to be regarded as unclean. So here's the thing. It wasn't just that it was gross. If they had their cup just like this and a gnat flew in it and they drank it, now they are considered unclean. And if you had done something that is unclean and people know about it, you have to now go sit outside the gate for 7 days until you get clean. Not drink any more gnats. So they're like, we have these filters here because we don't want to drink a gnat. We don't want to swallow a gnat because then we'll be unclean. So we are trying to follow the law to a T where we are given 10% of our spices and we are filtering out gnats. All right? So we're doing pretty good. Yeah. But why camel? Okay, we'll do that. And Chantel, you can come up here. Try to play something really good. Let's try to make Leviticus sound really spiritual. It's going to be really tough. We'll be the first people that's ever done that. Leviticus 11:4. It says, there are some that only chew the cud or only have divided hoof, but you must not eat them. The camel, though it chews the cud, does not have divided hoof. It is ceremonially unclean for you. So in other words, don't eat camel. No more camel steaks. And no more gnat fries for you. You cannot have it. So don't. So here is the smallest unclean animal and the biggest unclean animal. Jesus has thrown this into this, and the Pharisees are like, what? Oh my gosh, he is just putting us down. They're like, man, we try so hard. We're doing so good. I mean, the only reason that we have good things is because of all the good things we've done. You know, so Jesus is saying, you're so focused on the gnat. You're so focused on all those little things, but in the process of doing these things, you've neglected the bigger issue. You're so consumed with those things. You're so eager to do those things. Those things are huge for you. But you've neglected these people over here that are suffering. You've neglected the suffering world. And here's the thing. God's heart moves, and he loves the suffering world. His heart beats for the suffering world. And Jesus is saying, you try so hard to be clean, that you have got so caught up in these things of trying to be clean and trying to be perfect. You have, in essence, you have literally made yourself unclean before God by doing so. You forgot why you were doing this in the first place. You ever hear somebody say, it's just all about me and God? Oh, just me and God. Yep. Well, Pastor Jimmy, you said something about not having control, giving up control. So it's just me and God. Okay, that would make a really good tweet. Make a really good hashtag. Hashtag me and God. Here's the problem. It's not what Jesus teaches. It's not what he teaches at all. See, he's not just interested in saving you, and he's not just interested in redeeming you, but he wants to reach the world through you. And if we get so caught up in all these things, listen, you know why I'm doing this message? Because I've done it. I've done it in preparing messages. Oh man, they're calling. They got something going on. Everybody's dependent on me on Sunday, so I got to write this message. I got to research the Aramaic of Gnat and Camel because it's going to be very important. Because someone's going to come and say, you know what Gnat is in Aramaic? He gets so caught up in it. I got up early this morning. It's so funny what God does. I got up early this morning, and my plan was I was going to get here early, and I was going to paint the front porch. I was like, man, this is going to really get them in. Yeah, somebody's going to be driving by, and they're like, we won't go into that church because of that front porch. And I went to Walmart, and I just went there because I was going to get a paint roller because I didn't want to look for a paint roller. And I was like, I just get a cheap one. I just come here. But in that process of getting a paint roller, I walked by some rugs. And Pastor Mark and I had talked about we wanted to get a rug for the social hall where the couch is, kind of just make it look a little homey and stuff. So I started looking at these rugs. And I came across this one rug. It was a shag rug, and it was black. We wanted a black rug, not really wanted shag. But the price tag, I said $22. And I was like, whoa, this is a deal. And then I saw, wait a minute, here's a gray shag rug, just like it. And here's a red one. Here's a brown one. Dude, this is supposed to be an in and out of Walmart. I'm here for 30 minutes. Oh, how's this rug going to look? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Hey, ma'am, 7 a.m. in the morning. Ma'am, can you come here? Come here, just for a second. I know you're busy. Come here. Hey, which one of these rugs you like better? Which one do you think would be better? No, it's not going to my house. It's going in the social hall. Oh, you've never seen the social hall? Oh, it looks really cool. Which one do you think would look the coolest? Because it's only $22. She goes, $22? Oh, man, I'm going to get me a rug. I'm like, yeah, you should get two. She's looking. She gets a rug. She's like, oh, check this out. She's like, oh, man, I really want the black one. I was like, oh, there's only one black one left. That's the one I was going to get. She's like, oh, okay. And then I was like, something came on the inside of me, and I was like, you know what, you can have the black one. Oh, I'm such a good pastor. Oh, yeah. That's why you stopped me at the rugs, God, so I could make sure that lady got the last black rug. All right, I'll get the gray one. I get up to the cash register. She rings up the rug, and it's $86. I'm like, whoa, what? No, ma'am. Something came up inside of me. I'm like, I just spent 30 minutes on this rug, all right? That porch is not going to get painted because I was on this rug. I'm getting this rug for $22. I said, this says clearly that I will go take a picture of it. She's like, oh, there's nobody in line. I'll just walk back there with you. I was like, all right. It's like, oh, she's going to see it. $22. And I was prepared. I was thinking, if she don't give it to me for $22, I'm going to ask for a manager. Because I am leaving here with that rug for $22. She gets there. She looks at it. She's like, oh, sir, see this right here? $20 is this Titan Berber rug. Yeah, this is a shag rug. And it also says that it's like a 4x6, and that rug there is a 5x9. So that rug, they're actually in the wrong place. It says it clearly right here. The only thing I could think of is, That poor lady. I need to get out of here before she tries to ring up her rug. And I was like, well, I ain't leaving here without a rug. I'm not wasting just 30 minutes. I'm like, which rug is the $22 one? She's like, it's that rug right there. I said, all right, I'll get that rug, and I bought that rug. I told Pastor Mike this story before, and he goes, why didn't you splurge? It's because my name's Jimmy, not Mark. I spent $86 on a rug. It's crazy. But I got so wrapped up in that. I can't tell you guys how many times I get so wrapped up in church work that I neglect the things that God has for me to do. I didn't put you here to make sure the chairs were in a certain way. I didn't put you here to make sure that things were set up or to hunt for a camel. And I put you here because I want to reach people, and I want to do it through you. And if you caught up on get so caught up on your walk, and your walk is important. I'm not saying that you shouldn't focus on your walk, but sometimes we get so caught up in those things that in essence moves us away from the things of God. What's your camel this morning? What's your camel? What's that thing that you're like has just taken precedence? What's that thing that, well, it's a good thing. It's a great thing. But it's not the most important thing. Listen, if I come here, and here it has a beautiful lawn, and Pastor Mark comes here and he builds the well, which is amazing, by the way. You can clap for that. Mark and Tom, we know Tom did most of it. You know, we can come here, we can do that, we can put up the lights, redo the stage, put down some carpet, do all those things. But if we lose focus on what matters the most, and that is reaching people. Because God don't just want to save us. He wants to save others through us. He don't want to just redeem us. He wants to redeem others through us. It's about a relationship. I'm closing, Mark, and you can come up here, and you can come on this way. Last verse. It is Galatians 3, 9 through 14. Galatians 3, 9 through 14. Sometimes we get so focused on what we're doing. I got to make sure everything's right. I got to make sure, I'm sitting here with my hands raised. I got to make sure that I'm here by 11 o'clock. I got to make sure, I'm sitting in the front row. I need to make sure, I don't want people to see that I missed 2 Sundays in a row. I got to make. And we get so focused on what we're doing and on the doing. And here's Galatians 3:9. Paul's talking here, and he says, so those who rely on faith are blessed along with Abraham, the man of faith. For all who rely on the works of the law are under a curse. 613 laws. Okay, just keep that in mind. As is written, cursed is everyone who does not continue to do everything written in the book of the law. So if it's going to be about what you're doing, you better get accustomed. Don't just have the 10 Commandments hanging on your wall at your house. You need to have all 613 laws, and there are some crazy ones, guys. Don't you dare swallow a gnat. Don't you dare let a bug fly in your mouth. It says, clearly, no one who relies on the law is justified before God, because the righteous will live by faith. The law is not based on faith. On the contrary, it says, the person who does these things will live by them. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. The law is cursed. There's curses that come to the law unless you can do them all. 100% of the time, perfectly. None of us can, by the way. I wouldn't suggest you try. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who is hung on a pole. He redeemed us in order that the blessing given to Abraham might come to the Gentiles through Christ Jesus, for that by faith we might receive the promise of the Spirit. It's not about the do's and don'ts. I mean, listen, I'm not saying they're not important, but he's saying what matters most is what are you doing? What are you loving those around you? Do you have a real relationship with Jesus? Because he desires that real relationship with you. Stop focusing on the do's and don'ts, because eventually what's going to happen, you're going to swallow a camel.